So welcome back. Here's another video for you to watch, and this week you're going to be beginning to read V for Vendetta, which is a really cool graphic novel, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it before you started to read it. V for Vendetta was written in 1988 by Alan Moore, and he's envisioning a future which actually will now be taking place in the 90s, so it's our past, but Alan Moore's future vision of what the world is like in Great Britain in the 1990s. In his mind, there has been a nuclear event, a global nuclear threat, and so this is Great Britain after that type of event and what kind of effect it has on the government and its people. Alan Moore envisions that the government is now very big brotherish, which, if you're familiar with George Orwell's work, 1984, just means the government's got its fingers in pretty much everything that you do. It's a fascist government, and they are very busy watching, listening, investigating everyday lives of everyday people to make sure that they are following the rules of the government. So in the novel, you're going to hear them kind of call these sections of the government the ears, the eyes, and the nose of the government, and those are just the investigative arms of the government that's keeping track of what the people of Great Britain are saying. Now, like I said, when Moore wrote this, it was 1988, and he was a little bit of a visionary. It's a little known fact that Great Britain has 1.5 times more closed-circuit televisions than China does. There's actually one camera for every 14 people in the country. And I know I had to look it up. It's 4.2, is it 4.2? 4.2 million closed-circuit TVs watching public spaces in Great Britain. It makes them the most watched country in the world, which is kind of surprising when you think of it. You don't think of Britain as that type of place, kind of, you feel more liberal about it. Everything goes there, and that's not at all the case. And the people there, if you look it up in the news or if you Google the news, you'll find a lot of articles where the people are really concerned with the amount of watching that the government is doing there. So Alan Moore was a little bit of a prophesier there. He saw this coming and wrote about it in V for Vendetta. So for this week, you are going to read book 1, which is called Europe After the Rain. And you're going to learn a lot in book 1 about the characters and the theme and kind of what's going on in the story. So why are we reading a graphic novel? It's a good question. Other than it's fun and different, and a lot of you have reported that either you've never read a comic book or haven't read one since you were a little kid, graphic novels have kind of come into their own. A graphic novel called Maus, M-A-U-S, won the Pulitzer Prize in 1992. It was a story about Nazi Germany and the concentration camps done through a graphic novel. It's a fantastic read, a little bit depressing, but I guess that can be expected when you're writing about the concentration camps. But that winning the Pulitzer Prize really set the tone for graphic novels being kind of their own genre. So that's why we're reading this. Also, it's a really great story, and I'm all about great stories. The other thing, since we were talking about the 6-word memoir last week and really looking at the power of each individual word, when we start talking about writing and start actually writing, you really want to take an effect, not that you have to pore over the detail of each word, but word choice is incredibly important in your writing, and nowhere is that more important and more apparent than in a graphic novel where you have such small little spaces in which to fit a whole story. Now, as you'll see from this book, it's not small, there's many pages, but overall the amount of text in a graphic novel versus the amount of text in a typical novel, very uneven. You have much less text in a graphic novel. You really have to be succinct in your word choice to get your story out. That's what I really want you to look at here. Now, the other thing that you'll find in your folder for this week is your assignment. You're supposed to read the book 1 and then also talk about what kind of tone is set in those first couple pages of the novel. And when I say tone, I don't just mean the words. In a graphic novel, there's also visuals. So I want you to really look at the graphics going on in each frame, what colors are being used, what are the expressions on the people's faces, what kind of tone and mood are the author and the illustrator trying to evoke from you. Because in a graphic novel, the illustrator, David Lloyd for V for Vendetta, is nearly as important as the author himself, because it's the graphics that are going to tell the other half of that story. And in V for Vendetta especially, almost 50% of the story is told through the frames of the comic book. So you really have to pay attention to the visuals as well as the storyline. So make sure you do the assignment that's in there, the discussion about the tone that's being set within the first couple pages of the novels. I've also put in there a little bit of a summary on Guy Fawkes Day, and once you read the first book, you'll understand why that's in there and why it's important for you to know. So there's also a discussion piece about that as well. So enjoy V for Vendetta, and enjoy your comic book graphic novel experience. And I wanted you to know too how difficult making this video has been, because I had to lock myself in the office, because I'm going to take you for a little trip. Right next door, across from my office, we're going to come over here, locked up here, is my dog Jackson, and he's very unhappy about being locked up in the room, as you can see. Jack. And he's been whining the whole time, so there he goes. Gotta go, walk the dog. Have a good week.